welcome to my YouTube channel Tejal's Cards. Tejal here, and today I'm doing another review for Itsy Bitsy. This is their newly released heat tool. I think it's just gone up in the store, so I got it yesterday in my hands and I'm going to get right into it. So let me show you what you get in this. It's a nice compact tool. Of course my tool is off to the side, but with the tool you will get this little leaflet. Just make sure you go through this once. Now here is the heat tool, small, compact, and it's about 8-9 inches. Has this little stand. Alright, and this is mainly for the Indian voltage system. So let me just check out the voltage that's there. That's like 220 volts and 300 watts, and I just checked on the internet, and this thing at about 3 minutes, if you heat it, this tool will go up to 200 degrees. So that's something. Now I'll show you how to, I'm basically showing you how to heat emboss, and while doing that you'll probably be able to check out how this tool works for heat embossing. Of course you can use this tool for a ton of other uses, like you can do heat shrink with this, you can do your candle decoupage. Not really decoupage, but transferring your images onto a candle, and then a lot of other uses, but today I'm mainly focusing on heat embossing. So first thing, when you're working with a heat tool, make sure you're working with some kind of a heat resistant surface. Either use a glass or this heat proof craft mat. There are a lot of companies who have come out with craft mats, so pick up any of those. I generally buy and chop them into small squares so I can use them. The next thing for heat embossing you will need is your Versamark, which is a sticky ink on which your inks will stick, and you can use this to add your embossing powder. Then you will need your embossing powders. Here I have a couple of embossing powders, and these are the only colors I generally own. So I have the white, this is the ultrafine clear, this is a silver one, and this is the gold one. If you're beginning, if you're just getting into embossing, these four are all that you need, and I'll show you a quick trick how to get colored embossing without investing in a ton of embossing powders. Of course buying those is amazing, but if you don't have, I'll show you the trick that I've been using for the last 7 to 8 years, and I haven't bought any colored embossing powders till date. I just have the metallics, nothing else. Okay, this, and then you need something to prep your page. I'll explain what that means. This is called a powder tool. You get either this or in a small bag, like this is your embossing buddy, or if you have nothing, you can just pick up some cornstarch and use a paintbrush to go, use just a dry brush and buff it across your page. I'll show you that as well, and let me show you how this thing works. How do you do embossing and how this tool works when you're embossing. So here we have everything off to the side, and let me get some cardstock. And where is my stamp? Okay, here we have some stamps. I'm going to be stamping with my Misty. Alright, so I'm using this stamp so that I can show you both ways how to stamp a solid image and when something is as detailed as this. So let's take the detail one first. Whenever you have a detailed image like this, make sure you use any kind of an ultra fine powder. So here is this. I'm going to just close my lid and pick it up. Now before I start stamping, I have to prep this. So because I love this little tool, I'm going to take this and drag it across the whole page. It just drops a little bit of powder and you can see all the white powder across it. Now what this does is it removes all the static or the oils that you have in your fingers that get stuck onto the paper, and when you pour your embossing powder, the embossing powder will stick to it. So you take your ink, dab it, stamp it. Alright, so you can see the faint image over here. So I shall take this out from here, close this. So I have a piece of scrap paper here, and here we go. I'm taking the silver. Now this silver is super fine detail, so just pour it over this, tap it off, and you can see I've got the powder onto the stamped image. Just drop the excess powder back. One thing, always let your heat gun heat up for a couple of seconds before you bring it to the image, and it's going to be loud, so I'm not going to be talking while this is on. So here you can see that the image is really nicely embossed. So definitely this is not as loud as my old heat guns were. Definitely not. This is nice and small to hold. So let's do another one because I'm too excited to now try this. Now I'm going to do a bold image, a little thicker image which has a lot of darker points. These stamps are meant done for. Again, make sure you prep it. Now when you have any kind of a bold image, your regular embossing powders are good enough, but when you have minute, make sure you always use ultra fine. So let's use the white over this. Thank you. Tap it off slightly so that any extra particles can just fall off. It's always hard to emboss on a black. You always get stray particles, and if you get stray particles, take a small paintbrush and just wipe it off. Okay, so let's get to heat embossing. hold it out for a few seconds and then bring it to the image. And there you go. It's nice and shiny. Now, sometimes your paper will get warped because of the heat. Just turn it in the opposite direction and it will flatten out again. And there is also sometimes, if your Versamark ink is not hydrated, no, it's an older pad, or if you used it long enough, sometimes your ink may get less sticky or the ink may dry out. When that happens, your powder will start blowing off. And if you don't have a re-inker at that time, what you can do is, instead of heating from the top, heat from the bottom so that the powder will not melt, but make sure you keep moving your heat gun completely. Alright, just don't point it in one direction because again it will warp. So the trick is to constantly keep moving it. Even when you are doing it on vellum, vellum is one of the most difficult papers to heat emboss, but the results are fantastic. So whenever this is a parchment paper which is kind of like a vellum. When you use these kind of translucent papers, it is very important to keep moving your paper, your heat gun around, like, you know. Let's just quickly show you this also. Here I will definitely let my heat gun warm up more than normal. Here's my scrap cardstock and here's my gold. So here I will heat it more than Once you're done heat embossing, make sure you're resting it on the stand provided and let it cool down before you put it back inside, because this nozzle and the body will get hot while you're working. So you can see I got a beautiful embossing and very little warping. It hasn't curled. If you keep your heat gun trained in one direction, your vellum will warp to this extent. So this is done. And one quickly how to get your colored embossing. The trick is to bring in your colored inks. I'm not going to be embossing, I'll just show you how you do it. So let's do blue. So prep. First, you add Versamark, right? Then your ink, and then you stamp it. So So now you have this blue image which has Versamark already in it. So now you can pour your clear embossing powder, any of your clear powders, and then you heat emboss, and when you heat emboss you'll get a blue embossing. So that's one of the small tricks that I do when I don't have too many colored of embossing powders. Any colored inks you can use. So that's just a quick recap into embossing, and let me say I really like this. Is nice, small, handy. It fits in my hand really well. The button is well placed, so I can just switch it. So I can switch it on and off with just thumb. I don't have to. I can always use it with this also. I think it's a really nice small tool. The only thing, your heat gun will start malfunctioning if you use it for more than 5 to 7 minutes at a time. Make sure you keep switching it off in between. If you're going to be doing a longer project, switch it off in between for a couple of minutes to allow it to cool down, and then reuse it. So that's just my small review on the Itsy Bitsy heat tool. I think it's a really nice, small and dainty product, and I definitely think you can check it out and post up your own creations after this. Before I go, I wanted to show you what I'm going to be working on next. So Itsy Bitsy also sent me one huge package, which I'm going to be showing you right now, which is, hello people, here we go. I will have to zoom out. Whoopsie. So okay, they have come out with some amazing variety of cardstock. I'm yet to get into these, but I really wanted to quickly show you all the kinds of papers that they've come out with, so you can probably pick up and start checking them out. So let me get into the smaller ones first. Okay, it's a mess. I'm just going with what they have. So here is handmade paper. There's some really nice texture to it. I really doubt if I can show it to you on, because it's white and shiny. Anyway, alright, then there is this linen paper, and it has some amazing linen texture. Okay, so there's this linen paper. There is this handmade paper, black, which is really nice. These are all 10 sheets. Then there is this duplex board cardstock, and I really like that it's 300 GSM. So I'm looking forward to playing with all of these. This is textured white 12 by 12 and 270 GSM, which is pretty nice weight. This is bright white premium cardstock. Now this is the one I'm really excited to try out, because as a stamper I really like cardstocks that are smooth, that can have, that can take stamping and coloring. So I'm going to put this cardstock through everything, through coloring, watercoloring and everything, and then I'll do up a review pretty soon. So this is the smaller textured white. Here you can see the texture. Yeah, see, it's nice texture. So this probably would go through some nice watercolor. There is this fleece white. Now this is really nicely textured. It has ribbed texture in it, kind of like your Fabriano cardstock, but this is textured on both the sides. So this is there. This one, oh boy, I love the weight of this. It's 450 GSM black cardstock. So So this definitely for my scrapbooks, definitely for layering your die cuts, this would be excellent. So this is again another, the same version of the fleece white in 12 by 12. Now here is another black embossed cardstock. This will be very hard to show. It's just showing my fan actually. Oh, sorry, I can't. Maybe I can. So here you go. You see that lined texture, and it's smooth on the other side. So really nice weight, really heavy. I think this one was, this is also 450 GSM. Then here's another 12 by 12 of white. All the handmade papers are 200 GSM. Now one awesome thing that they've done is they've color coded everything. So straight away by your color strips you can know what paper it is. Say this pink one is your premium cardstock, orange is your fleece white, your textured white is rosy pink, your bright white is purple, duplex is yellow, again this handmade paper black, here you go, so that's kind of a teal, a dark red linen paper, and then your handmade paper which is again white. There you go. So even if you're in store or if you're checking it online, these color codes will really help you quickly find and not mess it up. So thank you Itsy Bitsy for sending me these amazing cardstock. I am going crazy trying to think of projects to do with this. So this and this. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you when I'm demoing, showing you all these cardstocks. Till then you can start shopping. I'll leave the links for all of these papers in the description box below, or you can find them on my blog. Alright, so thank you for watching my video, and I'll be back soon to review these cardstocks. And every time you leave a comment on my blog or on my YouTube video, it means the world to me. So thank you very much, and if you like this small video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up so that I can make much more videos for you. See you later. Happy crafting.